All right, welcome to Module 11. This is on meal planning. So I wanted to tell you a little bit about some ideas that I have for steps for success. First one is to figure out what you and your family's needs are. So you can make a list of the following: allergies, likes and dislikes, grocery budget, so you can budget weekly or monthly, any other issues that you need to address. Pull out your healthiest recipe books and go online to find recipes with the following guidelines. Little to no meat, so mostly vegetarian if possible, or vegan. Little to no dairy, so milk, cheese, yogurt, cottage cheese, sour cream, all those things. See if you can find recipes without them. And little to no eggs, no processed sugars or processed foods as much as possible. Then print out a calendar for the month and plan on what meals you want each day. Gather recipes and make substitutions as necessary. Create a shopping list and plan shopping days once a week. Buy items for each week or stock up with bulk items to freeze. These are pretty simple steps that you can take. I like the idea of printing out a calendar for the month and then planning what meals you want to each day. And you can do this with your children, at the beginning of the week, maybe on Sunday or Monday. Sit everyone down and ask them what they would like to eat. And maybe bring in some new cookbooks and have them leaf through them and see the pictures and things and ask them what they would like to try. You could maybe have a rule that you would try one recipe a week, or a couple recipes a week or something like that, and then ask them to be involved, and we'll talk a little bit more about why that's important. Okay, substitutions. You may make substitutions for ingredients in your favorite family recipes. So some ideas are: for sugar, use dates instead. For the dates, I put them in, I use medjool dates, and I get them at Costco. Right now, at the time of this recording, it's about $8 for 2 pounds there at Costco, and you can find them in the produce section. But if I go over to Good Earth, for example, here in Utah, they're about $8 for 1 pound. So Costco is a better deal. Just make sure that you're going around and finding good deals on things. Medjool dates have a pit in them, so make sure to take the pit out. And I put them in a food processor and process them so that they actually get kind of in a ball and they go around in the processing bowl. So once it gets to that point, then add your liquids from the recipe to make more of a paste, and then you can add the dry ingredients to that, and that should be fine. Raw honey is a little bit different, where whatever raw honey you're using, you're going to need to reduce the amount of liquid that you're using. So if you've made the recipe before, you'll know what texture to look for. And then I would just, if it has water or milk in it, you can substitute. Down there it says milk, substitute almond or hemp milk or something like that. Rice milk would work too. But you'll want to account for whatever liquid there is and reduce that if you're using raw honey, because that's more liquid. Coconut palm sugar can be used cup for cup for regular sugar. Just keep in mind that these types of sugars, date sugar, things like that, they're dried, but they still kind of act the similar way that processed sugar is. It acts the same way as the processed sugar does in the body. So I, for example, am prone to candida, and when I eat this type of sugar, I can feel some itching and things coming back. I prefer using either dates or raw honey. So just keep that in mind. Dried fruit is also fine to use. You do something similar to the dates, or you could add like raisins or craisins, currants, those kinds of things, instead of like chocolate chips or things like that. So using some of these can be a little tricky if you don't know what you're doing in recipes. It's always good to eat more fresh fruits and reduce or eliminate baked goods anyway. So these would be more, every once in a while treat, maybe once a month or something. And then eggs, a tablespoon flaxseed meal to 3 tablespoons of water for 1 egg is the recipe for that. And then milk, you'd use almond or hemp milk, or other milks that will help out. I have a book called Don't Drink Your Milk. This is by Frank A. Oski. He's a medical doctor. It says new frightening medical facts about the world's most overrated nutrient. He talks in here about studies that have shown that milk is linked to multiple sclerosis and leukemia, food allergies and other issues in the body, and that calcium, it's not really a good form of calcium for us either. So this is a good book to add to your list. I like having that. Meat is another one to substitute for, so you can use the sauteed vegetables and mushrooms for immediate flavor and to add spices to the meal. I do have a meat substitution recipe that has those mushrooms and onions and peppers, colored peppers in there, and that makes a really good base for like a meat substitute. And I just cut them in strips, or you can cut them in, dice them so that they're smaller pieces. And then you can flavor them however you want for the dish. If you're having an Italian dish, then put, parsley and basil, oregano, thyme, those kinds of Italian seasonings. Asian seasonings, you can use different ones for that. Or you can flavor it Mexican with a little bit of heat. So whatever meal you would like to make, you can flavor it differently. And you can also use beans or legumes and wild rice. I would add wild rice here, brown rice. Those are good. The beans and the rice make a complete protein. You don't need a whole lot of it to be able to feel full, but then make sure you're eating other things as well. Cheese, most recipes don't need it. Use natural yeast for a cheesy flavor. You can just put that on at the end. And usually you're wanting salt or comfort with this, so identify the emotions that are attached to it and ask for it to be removed. As far as eating, a good healthy meal, if you're wanting to do some cooked foods, that's fine. Especially in the winter, you might want to have root vegetables and some of the legumes or beans and rice. That's all fine to do. Just make sure that you're eating plenty of fresh fruits and vegetables with that meal as well. So what I like to do is I have fruit at the beginning and wait about 5 or 6 minutes for that to digest. And then you can have a big salad, a green salad with some vegetables on there, fresh vegetables. And that will get it so that you have plenty of digestive enzymes in your system to be able to digest the rest of the meal that's cooked. And then you can, do your cooked meal. When I cook, like for the recipes and things, I like to cook the meat at high or medium to high heat to make sure it's completely cooked. And then switch it to low, the temperature to low, add in your beans, rice that's cooked, or other vegetables, and then just mix that for a couple minutes and get it warm, and then take it off of the stove and add your garlic and onions and like your fresh or dried herbs would be fine. This helps to make sure that the enzymes don't get killed off, because they do die at higher heats. Anything really over 105 is what I say. And I keep my finger as the thermometer. So I'll just put my finger in there and stir things around until, it's warm, but I don't want it to be hotter than my finger, because that's too hot for the enzymes as well. So that's a good indication that your food is staying warm but cool enough so that those enzymes are still alive. And then you'll get good medicinal properties from the spices at the end if you put them at the end and not kill those off either. So that's how I like to do a cooked meal. And then to help people who struggle with food, like picky eaters, ask what they don't like about the food. It could be the texture, the smell, taste, it looks gross. It usually has to do with the senses, but it could also be making them feel bad inside, like a stomach ache or a headache. Remember that there's a brain-bowel connection or brain-gut connection. So what's happening in the bowel, for example, if they're eating a lot of processed foods or they're really constipated, if you get constipated, you'll get a headache, and that's what a lot of migraines are from. So we remember from our cleansing and detoxing module, We talked about starting at the bowel and moving up to through those different the different systems of elimination. So we'll clean out the bowel, and you can do that by eating more fruit, which has fiber and water in it to help hydrate things. Also making sure that they're drinking plenty of water throughout the day. That is one of the #1 ways to get constipated, because if you're not drinking enough water, then the body will take water from the bowel, and it will make the stools a lot harder, and it will make it more difficult for you to get it out. So drink plenty of water, and those headaches will probably go away. Having compassion with them instead of getting mad or frustrated with them. If they haven't tried the food, ask that they just try one bite, and if they don't like it, they don't have to eat the rest. This is an important thing for me, for all of us with family, little kids, things like that. But when I was teaching the Little Chef camps, I would have these children who would look at some of the food and just go, what is that? You know, and so they weren't really willing to try. So at the beginning of the class, I just set the rules, and the rules were, first of all, they had to tell me all of their allergies that they had. And secondly, and then I kept a list of the allergies. And then secondly, I said, if you're not allergic to it, then you need to try one bite. And if you don't like it after that first bite, then you don't have to eat it. And I asked them all to agree to it, and they all did. I remember having some children, one in particular, one little girl, that she would just look at things and, ew, that looks so gross, and I don't want to eat that. And so I said, okay, remember the rules. And sometimes she would say, well, I'm allergic to that. And so I'd pull out my allergy sheet and say, oh, that's not on your list of allergies, so it looks like you're going to be able to eat that. And I'd talk to her and get really excited and try and have her do it. She'd watch all the kids around her and see, and then I'd ask the kids, how do you like it? And they'd say, oh, this is so delicious. Finally, she'd try it, and inevitably, I think there was only one time in the 12 courses that we did that she didn't like something. But they can really get in their head about not liking something, and so helping them through that and eating it yourself and getting them excited to eat it is really important. Also, keep introducing the same foods. Did you know that it takes a baby eating the same food about 13 times to like it? This is usually the vegetables that are not very sweet. We are frugitarians, so we are prone to liking the fruit or the sweet, and that's how we're created. Mother's milk is sweet. So introducing them to some of the bitter foods or sour, these are, it takes them a while to get used to that. It'll also help if you can add some of the fruit to the vegetables, especially when they're babies and they have that pureed food. If you mix it together, then it will be easier for them to like, and then you can slowly take out, reduce the amount of the sugar or the sweet that you're adding to it. Don't ever add sugar. Try and keep them away from that. But that should help. And then #4 is ask them to get involved with the meal preparation so that they know what they will be eating. They usually get excited to eat their own creation. This is really an important tip as well for younger children. They love to help. So get them up on the chairs and let them learn some of the nice skills that you're going to learn in the next module. Don't be afraid to have them get in there and help and make a little bit of a mess. I know we like to have our houses all nice and clean, but when you have little ones, they're the most important. Your house isn't. And I had to learn that the hard way. But get them involved, and they'll more than likely want to eat what they create. #5 is never tell them that they won't like something or make up their mind for them. Allow them to decide if they like something or not. And don't share your opinion if you don't like it. Watch your facial expressions too. They speak louder than words. I can't tell you how many times I see parents or witness them saying, I'll try and give the child something or say, would you like some of this? And the parent will step in and say, oh no, they don't like that. And that just ruins the whole experience for them. So be open to allowing them to like different foods, and get excited about it. Go to the store every week and find a new fruit or vegetable that you've never seen before. You can go to the Asian markets. They've got a lot of different interesting kinds of fruit. You can take that home and experiment with it and make some recipes You can find recipes online for a variety of different tropical fruits and things, smoothies, stuff like that. And that will be really good too. So allergies to food. Many allergies we're experiencing have to do with the genetically modified organisms and toxins like glyphosate being sprayed on our food. Try to buy organic as much as possible and just lightly rinse it. Substitute ingredients that they can't have with those that they can. See about energy clearing to help clear the negative thoughts and energy around these particular foods. Eat a mostly plant-based diet if possible to help eliminate the allergies to milk or anything else. And corn has an epicite that makes people permanently sterile if consumed because it produces anti-sperm antibodies. Eat organic corn to eliminate it from your diet completely. Milk is the #1 allergen to the United States because in the mid-1990s, the hormone RBGH was added to make the cows produce more milk. Dr. Epstein, a scientist at the University of Illinois, said, milk is supercharged with high levels of a natural growth factor, IGF-1, excess levels of which have been incriminated as major causes of breast, colon, and prostate cancers. Antibiotics are also given to the cows to reduce disease and infection, which are in our milk and other dairy products, and that goes right into the body. Stay away from foods with added colors, flavors, preservatives, and other additives. Making your food from scratch as much as possible and not using processed or packaged foods helps to decrease allergens because you will know what is going into the food. Okay, I wanted to address the substitutions. We talked a little bit about that earlier. If you go on to rawchefwendyuniversity.com, and you should have your information about that. But if you go into the Reasonably Raw area, so this is the membership home site. So this is what you should see once you log in. You'll go to Reasonably Raw. And the second module is substitutions. Go ahead and click on that. And then you'll have lessons on how to make almond milk, the egg substitution. This is the flaxseed recipe I just told you about. Sugar substitutions and gluten-free cake flour that you can make. So make sure that you're using this as a resource as well. Then keep it simple. Eating the 80-10-10 way the majority of the time is really the best. So 80% fresh fruit, 10% vegetables and greens, which is pretty much all you can eat, 10% or less of whole fats. So sprouted nuts and seeds are for the greatest nutrients. Make sure you sprout those. You did have a sprouting chart in one of the other modules, so make sure you look back at that. You can make a copy of it and put it up on your refrigerator or wall so that you know the times for the sprouting on those. You can also get sprouting kits for seeds and have your own little micro garden in your kitchen, especially in the wintertime. That's really good. But hundreds of nutrients come alive when you sprout these nuts and seeds. So make sure that you're doing that. When traveling, visit the produce section of the grocery store and get stocked up on organic produce and a few raw nuts and seeds. Make sure that they're not roasted and there's no salt involved. Eat simply to reduce the time spent preparing in the kitchen and increase more time to do what you'd want to and spend time with your family. I used to spend a lot of time in the kitchen, like probably an hour to an hour and a half every night from the beginning of the meal until cleanup. And it was just a lot of preparation, a lot of dishes, a lot of slaving over the hot stove. And I don't do that as much anymore. I make more fruit bowls and smoothies and salads. Sometimes I'll make some cooked food like we talked about with the beans and rice or things like that. But simplify your life and get out of the kitchen as much as possible. It may take a little time to wrap your head around the idea that you don't have to cook meals to get nutrients and fuel into your body, but it will really simplify your life if you embrace this concept. Also engage your senses. Spend time enjoying your food. Block out time for each meal so that you can savor the flavors, colors, textures, and smells, and create a sensual experience with food. Create a new relationship with food that's healthy by thinking of it as fuel and nutrition, not your best friend or lover. That's important because a lot of times when we're doing, we don't have a relationship with other people, we kind of isolate ourselves and just really try and create that comfort and love from food. And I would encourage you to get outside, go do something, social events or other things that you can do to get yourself away from food and away from creating that type of a unhealthy relationship. Here's an activity for you that I'd like you to do. So involve your family or friends in a fun activity by blindfolding each person and placing a bowl or plate in their hands. Have them smell it and describe what they smell. Have them touch it and describe what they feel. Have them taste it and guess what it is, and then take off the blindfold. Have them describe what they see, the colors, the textures, those kinds of things, and then have them close their eyes again and take another bite. See if they can figure out the different parts on the tongue where the different flavors are present. So in this chart, you can see the bitter is in the back, sour is on both sides, salty is more toward the front on the sides, and the sweet is in the center. The tongue also has different organs and things that are associated with it. So you can go online and take a look at, I would put in the search engine, tongue chart for organs, or a tongue chart for reflexology, or a tongue chart for different flavors. And you can find a variety of different ones for that. Okay, so we're done with this module. Make sure that you go into your Russia Wendy University and look through those substitutions as well. And I hope that you got some good information from this module. If you have any questions, make sure to write those down and bring those to the next call that we have. Thanks.